So today we will extend our Cucumber tests, as we've added some interesting content in earlier videos. So before that I have to run my database. So as you can see, I've already logged in to my AWS account, so just RDS it takes time today. DB instances and my database, and just click start. And it will take a while to start the database, which I've stopped yesterday. Which I did stop yesterday. So my database is up and running. There's an interesting thing. The endpoint is still exactly the same as it was yesterday. I'm not sure if it's gonna be all the way long like that. So it means if I will stop the database 10 times and rerun it, if the endpoint is gonna be the same. So it's just up to you to check it every time you're gonna perform this process. So because it's exactly the same, I don't have to update the secure tokens and environmental variables which we've set up in the previous video. So database up and running, we can go back to our application. So just in the terminal type mvn clean test to make sure everything works as intended. Okay, excellent. Our tests are working fine, so that's another confirmation that the database endpoint was exactly the same. Okay, Cucumber. I'm gonna extend car steps. I'm gonna extend testing. Maybe not extending. I'm gonna create some tests, Cucumber tests for my car. So first, what I'm gonna do is to create some features, another scenario for my feature for the car. Let me see. Okay, I've prepared some scenario here. So I get all the cars driven last night. Right. So in this very scenario, I'm gonna test. The service methods, the CRUD operations. So now I'm gonna run my tests, Cucumber runner test, as I want to use the I want IntelliJ to prepare me stub methods, which I will fill in later on in the car steps. So just run Cucumber runner test. Okay. Okay. So now IntelliJ will send me an output and tells me that those steps, those new 3 steps which I've just provided, they don't have their body implemented. So I'm gonna copy it. That's all the stuff which we performed earlier on. So I'm gonna go back to my car steps. And here I'm just gonna provide space between them. And by the way, I've already provided some extra variables here, so just create them for you as well. And one important thing, we are gonna test CRUD operations, so make sure that you will auto-wire the car service. Okay, so here's my methods. IntelliJ has provided me those empty methods, so now I'm gonna create them. Okay. Okay, so given a car, so the car is already declared, so I just set a new speed, and I'm gonna perform the CRUD operations or CRUD operation insert CRUD operation in line 47, so save car. Then I'm gonna perform get all cars, and because this is an iterable, I want to swap it into a list. So here's our iterable, here's our list. So to perform iterable to list, I'm gonna use some stream support, stream car splitterator, and collectors to list. And then I'm gonna pick up the last element on the list, which will be this one here, because here we are inserting the car to the database, and here I'm grabbing it back. And then I'm gonna use the CRUD operation get car by ID, because I've got the ID from the list. So the car has got the last car from database. And because I know that the speed of the last element should be 412, then the speed of the last element we have just grabbed from the database also should be 412. And by the way, it was a typo in the previous method, maybe in the previous then declaration. Just type here int1. I think it was 412, which is a mistake. Okay, so now we can test our steps. So Cucumber runner test, run Cucumber tests. Okay, excellent. So this test covers save car, get car by ID, and get all cars. But if you look into car service, we've got another CRUD operation that we have to check. The late by ID. And delete car and update card. Those two methods we have to test them as well. Okay, so I'm gonna create another scenario. Okay, for this scenario is gonna testing update method from our car service, and I'm gonna do this exactly the same way. So I'm just gonna run the Cucumber runner. Okay. Then I will have our new steps that we have to implement. So I'm just gonna copy them, go back to car service, not car service, car steps. Okay, another break between them. And now I'm gonna implement those steps. I've prepared them earlier on as it takes it takes a while to create them, and so just to make the video shorter. Okay, so first of all I wanted to collect all cars from the database, so that's something that we prepared before. Put that to the car list and just apply last car from the database to our car variable. Then I'm updating its speed according to the car feature. Yeah, update the speed to 322 and update car service. And then I want to be sure that the speed of the car has changed from 412 to 322. Yes. So why I know that is gonna... Okay, so in our previous scenario we were inserting a car to the database. So this scenario, because of this scenario, I'm sure that the last element in the database, its speed is 412. And in this scenario, I'm gonna change that 412 into 322. This is the overall logic. So back to car steps. So I've updated the last record in the database here, so I've changed the speed from 412 to 322, and now I'm gonna check if it's actually 322. So I'm collecting the last element from database, and I'm just I'm checking if it's 300 and if its speed is actually 322, which is here. So we can run our Cucumber runner test again. Okay, and the last feature, the last scenario that we are gonna create is for the delete method, for the delete CRUD operation. Okay, so basically I'm counting all the elements in the database for cars. I'm deleting one of them. Okay, go back. Line 19 is gonna collect all the numbers of cars in the database and store that number. Then I'm gonna delete the last car in the database, and then I'm gonna collect the number of all cars from the database once again, and I'm gonna compare it with the previous record and make sure that it's less by 1. Okay, so run the test. So once again, IntelliJ has prepared for us those methods. So I'm just gonna copy them, go back to car steps, and okay. So as I said, first of all, I'm collecting all cars from the database. Then I've got the variable total number of cars, and here I'm storing the number of cars from the database. Then I'm deleting the last element in the database. Then I'm collecting all the cars from database once again, and I'm checking if their numbers is less by 1 according to this very variable, total number of cars. So Cucumber runner test, run Cucumber test. And by the way, that's you can do something on your own site. You can run Workbench and test and check what is happening actually when you are performing all those steps. I'm not gonna cover it as it takes too much time, and you already know how to use Workbench, so it's something for you that you can do on your own site. Okay, all my tests are correct, so the last thing which I'm gonna do is, as usually, mvn clean test, as I want to be sure that all my tests are, will run. I mean unity tests and Cucumber tests. I will enlarge this window. Test run 7. That's correct. So now I'm gonna do git add git commit, and now I want to check if my coverage on SonarCloud is bigger than before. Cucumber tests for car. Okay, git push. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my GitHub and Java API actions. And so as you can see, Cucumber action has just started, so SonarCloud has just started to perform the testing operation. So the build is complete, so now I'm gonna go to SonarCloud. SonarCloud. And as you can see, the coverage has raised up from 23, I think, to 42. Maybe we can look it. We'll take a look closer to this output. So main branch coverage 42.9. So car service is 92%. This is what we were heading for. We were testing car service. Unity tests covers the car Java. So your task will be to perform some Cucumber tests for user. I'm not gonna cover that. I think it's enough that you can do this by your own. As you can see, the user controller and car controller got only 11%. I'm not gonna work with it at this moment. I was doing some research and I've seen that you can do this eventually by Java, but the videos were like 3 or 4 years old. Now, to test controllers, I will use Selenium feature, but we will do this in the future videos. So that's all for today's video. Just don't forget to create your Cucumber test for user.